At the T-minus 3-minute mark, tape recorders on board the spacecraft were turned on. These recorders record both voice and data. We have ignition sequence start. The engine's now building up to 7.7 million pounds of thrust. We have a launch commit and we have a liftoff. Moving back. The Saturn V lifting off with power.
You are listening to Rocket Shop Radio Hour on The Radiator. I'm your host, Abby BK. And now begins Rocket Shop. With us today, we have Avery Lavoie. How are you?
I'm really good. Yeah, super grateful to be here.
Yes, we're so excited to have you. So the last time that I saw you, and maybe some people listening may have heard you, was at the Venetian Soda Lounge and their singer-songwriter competition. So how have you been since, and what have you been up to musically?
When do we remember when that was?
March, maybe?
March.
That's my guess, but that's a guess. I think it was March.
Yeah. In April, I think that was before that, played my first show in Vermont.
Okay.
That was really exciting at the Firefolk Gallery in Waitsfield. And then after that, have I done anything since then? I don't think I've played any shows since then, but really love that community, and it brought us together.
Yes.
So I think this is like the next show after Venetian.
Yeah.
I did play some music at a family reunion last weekend,
Oh, lovely.
so that was really fun too.
Yeah. If we're getting the date right, even. I feel like we don't know. But so do you have plans on trying to build out your gigging? Is that like a goal of yours? Or are you focusing more on like the writing aspects at the moment?
I had a goal earlier this year. This is going to be like my music and dance year, and an approximate goal of playing a live show or out in public every month. And it's been about every other month, and that's fine with me.
Yeah.
I think I'm taking a bit more of an organic approach, and really appreciate just making connections in Vermont and seeing kind of what comes up.
Yeah.
And also just like realizing how much work it is.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So when did you get started with your own music? So you kind of said that you hadn't played live until pretty recent, but had you been writing and performing kind of like on your own? How long has that journey been?
I would say I picked up a guitar in 2016 and have always been writing poetry, really for myself. And I moved to Philly in 2022 and played a lot more with friends and was starting to share my music more and feeling more comfortable sharing what was coming from my heart. And so, yeah, it's been this sort of unfolding of taking it from a very internal place and feeling ready and called to share and connect with other people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a special gift. And in terms of like your writing then, since you are a poet, do you feel that you still write all of your lyrics first, almost like a poem, and then add music? Or now that you're playing guitar, is it a bit more of a combined process for you?
That's a good question. Sometimes it's hard to, I'm sure you know,
Yeah.
hard to parse that out. I find that I'll start kind of experimenting on the guitar because I know so little music theory that sometimes I'll just play around, and that sort of pulls this thread of maybe a melody, and then maybe the words start to flow. And that's kind of been my unintentional process. And now I'm trying to hone in a little bit more on, okay, let me sit down and try to put these words together in this way. But that doesn't usually work. I usually just need more of the like free floating in the ether.
Yeah, more of an organic process. So in terms of like your inspirations, off air you were kind of saying poetically you're bringing up Mary Oliver as an inspiration. So I'd love to talk about that more on air. Do you find that poets specifically are also influencing your music? Or are there certain artists that are also influencing your sound nowadays? Is it a mix?
This is an interesting question because sometimes I don't know where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
It's like my relationship to the mystery. And I recently, because I was talking to you about having a little bit of writer's block, or I think I called it roadblock. But yeah, flipped open the Mary Oliver book and wrote this song and feeling a bit more called to draw on my comrades in poetry. And we were talking about themes and folk artists that we haven't listened to yet. So I think historically I've really just kind of drawn from my own inner well. And now it feels like as I'm hitting some blocks, like I need to draw from my community around me. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we would love to hear your first song. So what have you got for us?
Cool. This one is called Honey Bee. And I wrote this as the 2024 genocide in Palestine was beginning, and really reckoning with being in this place, Vermont, landing here, and knowing that there is this genocide and this erasure of Palestinian culture happening. And both knowing that I have to continue to reconnect with myself and my community in order to engage with my external community. And just holding a lot of space for the grief. And one line in there is 11 words for love. And in Arabic, there are 11 words for love. And just all the ways that we can experience love in the world. And we have to do that by loving each other and relating to each other in ways that are right and just. So, thank you. Swiftly as the swallow flies, surely as the fox she hides, a whisper on the wind, and the silence deep within will ask questions of each other and how we came to be, and will linger at the impasse until we all are free. And honey, I'll be your honey bee, from the river to the sea, to the olive tree. Dreams for the land that will flow with milk and honey, and 11 words for love floating on the breeze above. But we'll hear their cries as morning doves, as clearly as the summer sky rolls by. And honey, I'll be your honey bee, from the river to the sea, to the olive tree. I'll be your honey bee, come back to me. Braided corn husks blowing in the wind, sentinels atop the hill they call the winter inn. And we'll gather and we'll glean, try to find the space between, and the purpose and the meaning of the healing. And honey, I'll be your honey bee, from the river to the sea, to the olive tree. I'll be your honey bee, come back to me. But we'll long for distant lands, and we'll yearn for distant shores. But we're ragged, revolutionary down to our core. But we wage our distant wars, and the ones we find within. until we all find reason to be at peace. And honey, I'll be your honeybee. From the river to the sea, to the olive tree, I'll be your honeybee. Come back to me, come back to me, come back to me, come back to me.
Avery Lavoie with Honeybee. Yes, so beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing the story behind the song as well. I feel like that gives a great context for those listening as well to tune into the lyrics. So tell us a little bit more about your Vermont background. So you recently came back to Vermont. Why and what has been your journey? Like, what brought you back? We're happy to have you here.
Yeah. I was pulled back into the vortex
of Vermont.
I was living in Philly most recently, and I was working for the Environmental Protection Agency, and I was in all this heady federal government land, and I was really feeling like I was missing connection and missing my family and missing my relationship to the earth. And also I just really love the intention and passion of local farmers. And the local food system is amazing. So I really wanted to come back and ground back into this community and these mountains and these rivers and this lake and be part of my home. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you grew up in Vermont then.
Mm-hmm.
Where in Vermont did you grow up?
I was born in Huntington.
Okay.
Yeah, Sacred Valley.
Awesome. And how do you feel like the environment and also your like passion for wellness, how do you feel like those two things tie into your music?
I find a lot of reverence in humanity, and that includes my relationship to myself and having a positive, loving relationship with myself and creating space and time to connect with whoever that is. Mm-hmm. So I think that we were talking about my relationship to yoga, just also being really about coming home to who I am every day. And learning how to relate to myself so that I can do that for others. Right.
And do you want to share with everyone over air a little bit more about your background in yoga and maybe how that kind of ties into music too?
Yeah. Sure. It's always been a really kind of private journey. Yeah. And Diane Cohn, a really dear friend, was my yoga teacher when I was 12 or 13 and really set up this foundation of, this something I can always come back to feel grounded and connect to the earth and connect to community, because that is what yoga is. And so stepping a little bit more into sharing and perhaps a space holder for other folks who are interested in what their yoga looks like and what it can look like outside of a system that has erased or can remove parts of what yoga is, to just focus on the body instead of the heart.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And yoga obviously also includes healing through sound. So do you feel like that's like a really, like that's such an interesting tie to me between like the mind, body, music connection? Do you find that that's kind of like a similar feeling that you get from doing like yoga and sound healing as you do like playing your own music?
I love.
Yeah.
I love this question. We're vibrating beings, resonating, and so music is what brings the harmony for my own body. Yeah, it's so feels good
Yeah.
to share and express, and to be in tune with others. So absolutely. Yeah. Just like how we connected at Venetian, or how any of these folks in Vermont connect over music. Yeah, it's yoga.
It's all yoga. Yeah. That's what this, like, if there's an episode name, it should be called It's Really Just All Yoga.
Yeah, yoga is life.
I love it. Well, we would love to hear your second song. So what do you have for us?
Yeah, sure. Do you want a little background?
Sure, yeah.
I was at a friend's cabin in Cabot. Thank you very much to the Cafferkeys. And I was alone and really tuning into the sort of other than human realm and this relationship that we have with animals and other beings, and considering how much wisdom that they have and that we might not understand. And this is a song a little bit about my relationship to grief around extinction. And also the last couple of verses are really about love and the stories that are part of all of us. Light falls through trees, calling in the morning. Doves at my window, they beckon with their song. And all the stories they could tell in a letter to their loved ones before they fall. I listen to sandhill cranes find their way back home somehow over Buffalo Plain. I can't explain it. And all the stories they could tell in a letter to their loved ones before they fall. Remember a maple tree, the one we could hardly reach around. We stand together looking up in awe of just our luck, just to be together, just us three. And all the stories we could tell in a letter to our loved ones before we fall. The moon is full tonight, and I stand for the water. I watch as twilight comes, and I just stand still. And all the stories I will tell in a letter to my loved ones. For I fall, for I fall, for I fall, for I fall.
Avery Lavoie, you're listening to Rocket Shop. So tell us a little bit more about your writing process and inspiration. So obviously the two songs that you've played have very powerful stories, and they're also tied to, worldly events that are happening and impacting so many people. So do you find that those are typically the types of songs that you have been writing as of late, like tied to bigger, impactful topics rather than maybe just your own personal experiences on your own?
Great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen this sort of evolution of writing songs that maybe were a bit more self-centered in the beginning, and I mean, I think inherently they are, because it's my relationship to the world.
Right.
And now, I guess, trying to communicate a little bit more about, how I view the world, what matters to me, what my values are. Whereas before it was like maybe more heartbreak. And now I don't want to write about that anymore.
Right. You're like, I've had enough of it.
Yeah. Which is great fodder.
Yeah.
For song. I had someone that was like basically dumping me, and they were like, well, maybe you'll get a good song out of it.
Oh my gosh. You're like,
I was like, yeah, I did.
yeah, don't give me that challenge. I will take you up on it.
Yeah, still real and beautiful. And so, yeah, but definitely seen a little bit of an evolution.
Yeah. So any ideas like why that shift may have taken place, and like when you started to feel like the themes in your songwriting started to kind of change too?
Hopefully a little bit of emotional maturity. When? That's hard to say, because I often find like there's a flow that I step into that is sort of timeless. If I'm writing or feeling creative. So when? Now.
Always building upon it.
Yeah. And really wanting to explore my relationship with, like we were talking about, other artists and poets, and just kind of, relating to them in a new way.
Yeah. And take us through kind of maybe more of what that songwriting process looks like for you. Like, how long does it take you to finish a song? Because I know that can really vary between artist to artist, or even it's very situational for one artist. How does that look like for you?
It looks like having space to get quiet and be alone. And sometimes, like with one song that I wrote, I wrote it maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but didn't finish it until now.
Oh, wow.
Added a kind of a break or another kind of verse. And recently, I find that usually if I'm giving myself enough space and time, I can sit down and finish a song in an hour, or like have sort of an outline that I like, and then the iteration is maybe years, but knowing that they're never complete.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And how like often do you find yourself just kind of being like sitting down in that silent spot and doing that?
I wish it was more often these days. It's not. It's usually when I'm not working at this job or that job. And I love the idea of waking up every morning and doing the like 3-page Artist's Way thing where I'm like practicing creativity. But sometimes it's just, I have 4 free hours. And I'm by myself, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. So how many songs like in total do you think you've written, or like, and how many are you like actively like, these are ones I should play for gigs?
I think I have like 20 songs. And as I am kind of building my relationship to them a little bit more, I kind of like my more recent, I am feeling more comfortable sharing my more recent stuff. But I think I just played like my first hour set I did have a show at Vermont Cider Lab. I forgot about that one. That was
There
really
you go.
fun.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
Yeah, so I think there's like 8 to 10 songs that I feel ready to share, release into the wild.
Yeah, gotcha. And are you hoping to aspire to also release them as like an album and a bigger project for other people to find more conveniently rather than just listening to you live?
I've started recording one. Really hats off to all the people that are doing that, because it's so much work, and all the producers and people that spend their energy doing that. I'd like to, and I also, there's part of me that would love to just stay in this sort of liminal space and play and love this music for as it exists.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have a goal of recording a song and making a music video. But it's new for me. Mm-hmm. So like things like finding grants and doing that. It's
a lot of work.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
So the ideas that you do have, is there a specific song that you're hoping to focus on? And then also, which is the one that you have like the visual music video idea for?
Ooh, it's this song. I was falling in love with someone, and then I also realized that I was like, is this about falling in love or is this about dying? Which has been a theme that we were talking about earlier, because I'm an advocate of natural burials and a big fan of talking about death. So it has like, there's a line that, am I falling in again? Am I falling in again? Let me ease in. Let me ease in. So it's very much both sides of the same coin, love and dying. And so I that's a song that I recorded, and I hope to create some visual representation. Thinking cool. Like water, light, dark.
Yeah.
Mystical.
Totally. Do you feel like when you're just writing songs and performing songs, do you tend to kind of get those visuals in your head? Or have you found that it's only specific songs like the one that you're describing that those visuals are more vibrant?
I'd love to know what you do.
Yeah.
I think they're really distinct, separate processes. Yeah, but as I have more of a solid finished songs and more of them, to the point where I'm like, okay, I could layer on something else here, but getting it out of my head and into the real world.
Yeah, it's hard to communicate it sometimes.
Yeah, I'm like, imagine like this dark shape in this space under this thing, and it's like doing this other thing.
But you see it all so clearly in your head. You're like, come on, just get on the same wavelength.
Yeah. So, and like I think that we need to do this together too. Like I would love to bring in other minds, and 'cause we're so interconnected, and those getting on that harmonious frequencies. Yeah.
The power in communal music, for sure. I love that. I wish the listeners could see the hand motion they just did. Rock on. Oh. I love it. Well, we would love to hear your third song. So what is your third song tonight?
Yeah, what is my third song?
Whatever you'd like.
Amazing. Wow, my choice. That's amazing. I feel so empowered. Yeah, I think I'll play... this is a song I wrote in Idaho. This is a breakup song. And the lyrics used to be, "I'm not sorry," and now they are, "I'm sorry," because the emotional evolution. Just kind of getting in touch with my heart and realizing, how much I was blocking love instead of relating to it and opening. It's time I wrote you that letter. Of all the times that I tried, I swear I sat down to write it at least 1,000 times. truth, and I'm so sorry, and baby, that's the truth. And I'll cry for you anyways. The tears take the pain away. I know I used to think I loved you the way that light loves the lake. Maybe I was wrong to trick you, but it's my heart that's fake. And I'm so sorry, and baby, that's the truth. And I'm so sorry, and baby, that's the truth. And I'll cry for you every day. Maybe it'll save me. And it's the long nights of winter makes me miss you better than the sun. And I know I could have loved you better when it's all said and done. And I'm so sorry I left like a smoking gun. And I'm so sorry I'm out on the run. I bet you knew that I'd leave you. Lost myself along the way. Maybe one day we'll feel lighter. For now I couldn't stay. And I'm so sorry, baby, that's the truth. And I'm so sorry, baby, that's the truth. And I'll cry for you, and I'll cry for you, and I'll cry for you. And I'll cry for you, and I'll cry for you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So take us through a little bit more of your journey with performing. So you're back in Vermont, you're putting yourself out there performing. Were there any fears that came with that? And like, how have you conquered them? How is that going? Because I know it's obviously, it's not an easy thing to do. It can be intimidating.
Love, fear.
Yeah, I gotta combat it.
This year I really wanted to cultivate my relationship with fear, and knowing that it is also such a good friend. And when I feel it, that might mean that I need to lean in.
Mm-hmm.
And especially coming home to Vermont, I like growing up here, feeling a bit more vulnerable now, sharing a kind of a part of myself that I hadn't before. I grew up singing in a cappella in high school and college, and so I have this sort of performance, but adding the guitar was really hard. Still don't feel comfortable, which I just want to be real about. It's not innate. You were sharing too that you are definitely a vocalist and songwriter, and so building this relationship with this instrument and just being okay with stepping into a space and making mistakes and needing my song lyrics with me and just being like, there's no rule. I can just I can share the imperfection. So yeah, a lot of it it always feels scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you relate?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like everyone can in any capacity, whatever they're passionate about.
Yeah.
You got to put yourself out there, and there's fear that comes with that. So what do you think are maybe like your biggest goals? Like, what are your new fears maybe with music that you hope to conquer, since you've been taking strides, obviously, as of late? What are you striving toward?
more collaboration, getting to know other folks who are playing and who I can learn from. I think, finding paying for this love and continuing to find creative ways of doing that, and also kind of trusting that there will be that, and just advocating for more funding for music and art and culture and sharing, and continuing to keep music and art and culture
Totally.
in our schools, early education, and in our lives.
Yeah, definitely. Well, unfortunately, we are kind of running out of time on the show today. So we always like to give all of our guests the opportunity to really promote themselves. So let everyone know where we can support you best, follow along with your music and all that jazz.
Right now, I'm just on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel with a couple of things up there. I have a show September 20th at the Firefolk Gallery in Waitsfield, and they're awesome, so highly recommend supporting them. And that's about it from now, but I'll keep you posted.
Yes, everyone follow along so that you you hear all of the updates with Avery.
Oh, thank you.
And well, last but not least, we would love to hear your final song for the evening. So what have you got?
Sure. This is a work in progress. This is the other night, so I wasn't sure if I was going to share it, but it's based off an essay by Mary Oliver about a injured gull that they found and brought home to rehab, and it died. And so this is its story, their story. Many years ago, I brought home the gull. It was bitter cold, body broken, eyes half shut, but he was alive. He was alive. Looked at us with eyes bright and clear. He loved the light. He loved the light. He'd swing his head from east to west, gazing there. Sun sinks down. Sun sinks down. Tried to tell his story. It's not like it was such a small life. He loved the light. He was, of course, a piece of the sky. His eyes said so. This is not fact. There is no proof. And we grew fond of a little gold. Even in the quiet body, we knew it must come at last. Come at last. Tender colors reaching everywhere. The gull has died. 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 The gull has died.
Avery Lavoie, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for
it's
having
been
me.
awesome hearing you, and I'm sure we'll all continue to follow along with what you're doing.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Ross.
Yeah.
Thank you, Keegan.
Bob Ross over in the corner and Keegan to the left. And listeners, thanks so much for listening to Rocket Shop Radio Hour. Next week we have Frank Erickson, so make sure to tune in next week as well at the same time. And as for now, this has been Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Abby BK, and we'll see you next time.
Woo! Thank you so much. That was so fun.
Yes.
Wow. You're amazing.